The race is on to recover the wreckage of the US drone that crashed into the Black Sea. But the remnants may have sunk as far as 1,500 metres below the surface. And this got me thinking, what else might be lurking at the bottom of the Black Sea? So, just how deep is the Black Sea? Well, it's estimated to have a maximum depth of about 2,212 metres, which is roughly 6 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. And the world down there is pretty extraordinary. This is down to two of the main sources from which the Black Sea derives its water. Fresh water is supplied by the numerous rivers that pass through Eastern Europe, whereas denser salt water flows in through the Bosphorus Strait. The higher density of the salt water creates stratification, meaning the two layers don't mix. The top layer has less salt and is rich in oxygen, so can support lots of life, while the bottom layer is anoxic, meaning it contains little to no oxygen and is instead rich in toxic hydrogen sulfide. Not pleasant. It's in this anoxic layer that the Black Sea hides some of its greatest treasures. And it's precisely the absence of oxygen that makes this possible by slowing the decomposition process of organic materials such as wood. The Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project announced in 2018 that they had discovered possibly the oldest intact shipwreck in the world. The 2,400-year-old Greek cargo vessel was discovered just over a mile below the surface in incredible condition. This was one of 65 shipwrecks discovered during the 4-year project in the Black Sea. And it's not just ancient ships down there, but an entire underwater river too. In 2010, scientists from the University of Leeds found strange currents of water flowing along the seabed. Dense, salty water streaming out of the Bosphorus sinks to the seabed, where it carves out a channel just as rivers do on land. It even has rapids and waterfalls. If found on the surface, it would be the world's 6th largest river in terms of the volume of water flowing through it. So as Russia continue their search for the wreckage of the US drone, there's every chance they might just discover something they haven't bargained for.
Now, when is Swiss chocolate not Swiss chocolate? Well, maybe when it's not entirely made in Switzerland. Toblerone has had to remove the image of the Matterhorn mountain from its packaging because of strict rules in Switzerland. It's because it's moving production from Switzerland to Slovakia. Well, Toblerone say that they will use a more generic mountain image instead. Well, let's speak to the international branding expert Alison Stewart-Allen. She's Chief Executive of International Marketing Partners. Alison, an interesting one this, isn't it? Because they've said, look, we're going to move that production. That's a business decision, but those strict rules mean it can't call it Swiss chocolate.
That's correct. And from a branding perspective, this is a bit of a problem, you could say, for Mondelez, who have relied on this incredibly successful chocolate around the globe. This is a brand that everybody knows and everyone associates with Switzerland. Even the shape of the triangles is meant to mirror the shape of the Matterhorn. And now they're going to have to lose the image of the Matterhorn and put a generic mountain of some kind in that iconography. The challenge, though, is that being affiliated with Switzerland brings them great benefit. And the Swiss brand, if you like, both as a country and the products and services that they create, we all associate these with luxury and with quality. So by losing the Swiss affiliation, Mondelez certainly risks us thinking differently, perhaps less highly, of this particular brand.
And it's not the first time, though, that Toblerone has faced a few headlines that it would probably rather not have, and this was to do with the price going up and they had to change the design. Just explain that. Remind us. Yeah.
So in 2016, Toblerone decided that rather than raise their prices, they'd keep the price of the chocolate bar the same, but they'd reduce the weight. And the way they reduced the weight is by adding a bit more space between those, well-known triangles that make up that chocolate bar. Consumers said this is ridiculous. This doesn't look like the Toblerone we know and love. And plus, you're giving us less for the same amount of money. So in 2018, Mondelez went back and said, okay, we're getting a lot of pushback from our consumers and our fan base. we'll go back to the regular, normally spaced triangles of the chocolate bar. So, you know, it's been a bit of a rocky enterprise for the Toblerone brand over the last couple of years.
Alison, good to see you. Alison Stewart-Allen, thanks so much. You're up to date. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
To me, the film was all about the characters.
I hear her heartbeat.
We're able to bring the performance of these great actors onto CG characters and have audiences still react. That's the amazing part for me.
So what does her heartbeat sound like?
And so for that, we wrote a whole new, like, neural network-based facial system to understand a little better what the actors are doing and to give the animators a finer level of control over the faces. Because, you know, a lot of times you think effects and you think big scale, and that's all part of it as well, but we also like to make sure that the small, intimate moments work, because those are really where the audience gets to understand and know the character.
You are very hard on them.
I'm the father. It's my job.
We like to do a film like this that has a wide range, like where you're exploring the world, you know, in new ways. Every day's a school day, studying what water looks like at different depths. When, you know, if you're 1 meter under, or if you're 50 meters under, what happens to the light, depending on how clear the water is. Like, we looked at water from all around the world to see, you know, which types would play best for the film. Obviously, we knew we were going to go with something tropical, but, you know, you still study everything anyway, just so you kind of know where you are.
Of real whales, of dolphins, of otters, of different types of animals under the water, how they swim, how they interact, the way bubbles work around them.
The sea is your home.
You have that expansive, you know, like, canvas to work with. But then you also have the big dramatic things that happen, the Tulkun hunt, you know.
Stronghold.
The battle scenes. You have all of that on one side, and then you have families understanding how to live together, and sometimes working and sometimes not. Like, it's all very familiar.
I see you.
I think the great thing about science fiction is it lets you see what is kind of normal to us, but in a new light. So maybe you think about it a little bit more than you would otherwise.
This family. Is our fortress.